really meaty. I'm glad 6,000 people got to touch it last night.
Yeah, you can't front on that.
I dig it.
Yes, but everybody, this is the Nerdington Post, the number physical 100 podcast in existence.
Right.
I'll take that.
I'm Walter.
I'm Senpai.
I'm Will.
And yeah, this is, it's been a while, and we're catching up on the first quarter of 2024 of games. And there's been some bangers of games. Something we won't talk about is, look, Final Fantasy VII's overrated, and I don't think any of us has played Rebirth, right?
No.
No, yeah, I'm waiting for the PC version, so I'll get around to that, but,
I'm waiting for a sale. That's
yeah.
just really... Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm waiting for the PC version on a sale.
Because the remake, it was fine. Like
it was okay.
The wild things they did with their story, like, yeah, I watch fucking sci-fi and anime. It's not that wild to me. And then also the combat was just like hold down square while you wait for a bar to fill up, and then so you could do that thing that it actually does something. So like, yeah, I'm fine waiting with Rebirth.
Right.
I loved it as a Final Fantasy aficionado. If I just take it without my love of Final Fantasy, it was fun. It was tons of fun.
Yeah.
I think that's a game for people that think 7 is the best one. So idiots.
Hey,
it's like those like passionate fans.
I know we go back and forward on this. I love 6. 6 is my baby girl.
6 is the lower half for me. 7 is upper half. Like,
upper half?
It's in the middle, but like in the upper half of the middle.
I keep going back and forward just because like I keep going through the older titles, but it's still like my top 3 I want to say is still like 6, 12, 4. Like there's just something about those ones. And I know I love people's lists. It's like, oh, this is the first one I played. Like the first one I completed was 4. The first one I played was 8.
Interesting.
What has me excited about Rebirth though, because my complaint about the comic of just there are boss fights where it's optimal to control Barret, and all you do is you literally, I'm just gonna hold down this and do shit damage so I can just use a magic spell. But
you say that, and Barret was like my favorite thing ever in the remake.
Yeah, but something they introduced with Intergrade is the team up attacks, and apparently when you do team up attacks, like certain team up attacks, it builds the APB gauge, so it's beneficial to do those team up attacks so you could do the other bread and butter abilities more often, which is cool. And apparently it's a mechanic that most people didn't use. At least what I've been hearing from podcasts or like read some reviews of just like, oh no, I'm hearing Maximilian Dude talk about this podcast of like, oh yeah, you just do the team up attack between Yuffie and Cloud and that fills the APB gauge by 1. But like, it's a thing I don't know.
I think that's a Square. It's almost like we're gonna make this cool mechanic needlessly complicated.
Or just, but then also make it accessible for the lowest common denominator.
One thing I do like is that I'm a sucker for the team up attacks that happen in Chrono Trigger. I still think to this day Frog is one of the best like RPG characters ever. And I like the idea that Frog can jump, get a spell on his sword, and then do a sick ass attack. And having that on Iterate like catches my attention, especially the one with Barret and Aerith.
Aerith.
No.
Aerith is correct.
Aerith is correct?
No, it's not, but to me it is.
I don't know. Like I learned it as Aerith when I was in Mexico, and then when I moved to the United States and I played for the first time, it was Aerith. So it's like, okay, cool. I guess I was saying it wrong this whole time.
Well, that's how it was localized, so it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, technically, Kate Sith is, if you're going by Gaelic or Celtic or whatever, it's Ketchi.
Ketchi, which I like personally.
Canonically, it was for like the 2000 until they retconned it for Rebirth. It's Kate Sith now because that's how everyone's going to read it because nobody cares about Scotland and Ireland.
Which honestly they should. I think I don't know if I've gone on record in this. Like the Irish are like one of the few white cultures I actually respect.
No, I like him too, but they need not apply.
Yeah,
They need not apply.
but yeah, I don't honestly. And Tekken is another one I'm waiting to sell on, just mostly because like
Same.
I grew up playing 2D fighters, and Tekken uses a part of my brain I don't usually use.
I might. I'm thinking of doing a GameStop rental for that, just to play through the story mode and then
I mean, that's fair.
buy
I
it
watched
used and then return
yeah,
it.
I watch story mode on it and it looks hype. It makes me. I only play King every single time I pick up Tekken and nothing else. This Tekken 8 made me want to check out Dragunov and Reina.
Yeah, see, I Dragunov's been cool, man. But Reina, I definitely want to check out. Really, I'm waiting on the season pass to see how it plays out because I don't give a shit about Eddie Gordo, and I didn't buy Tekken 7 until like I don't know the third or fourth season pass when who's the lady with the fox mask? The Kunoichi lady? Shit.
I don't know shit
I'm
about
blanking
Tekken,
on
man.
Kunomitsu.
Kunomitsu.
And then yeah, I bought the season pass and then got the game for like $15-$20 and then bought like some of the DLC here and there. But yeah, Tekken 8's wait. I mean, I still haven't touched Elfelt, which is like, ooh, I can't wait for Elfelt to strive, and then like I never played it. So
I haven't. Ava is making me want to pick up season 3 because I haven't picked up season 3. The thing is like, I love Guilty Gear. I still consider Guilty Gear like my favorite fighting game franchise and series of all time. The lobbies just fucking suck.
yeah, just have a
Like they suck because you can't find a match, or they just suck because like how do they suck?
They suck. They suck to get. They suck to get into. They suck to set up, and they suck just being able to find a match. For a while, they had like a connection issue where they would just put you out whenever you were trying to run sets with people. And they have this really stupid ad arcade thing where you go into. You want to play ranked, so you go into the ranked matches, and then you have to find a little arcade, and then you have to set up the arcade, and then you have to request for a fight, and you have to wait for somebody to request for a fight.
Sounds like a whole process.
Street Fighter 6 does Fortnite. You turn on an option. It's like, do you want to do ranked or casual? You do ranked, and you turn it on. It puts you in the queue, and that's it.
Hit a button, quick play. I don't know
crazy.
why. It's bananas why not all fighting games have adopted that. It's nuts.
Yeah, it is ridiculous because like it has led me to just play Street Fighter 6, and I love it, and I love Street Fighter 6. Like, and it sucks because like. If Guilty Gear had that, I'd just be playing Guilty Gear.
Right, exactly.
Because I don't want to walk a character through a digital lobby. That's annoying as shit, man.
And the thing is, if like for whatever reason I feel like doing that, they have Battle Hub to do that. In Guilty Gear, you have no option. This is your only option. You have to walk around and do this thing. In Street Fighter's like, hey, you want to walk around with your little freak that you made? You can do it. If you just want to be in practice mode and turn on ranked, you can do it. Like, it gives you option.
Yeah, I think Guilty Gear has that, but whenever I tried that, it didn't seem like it was working.
And that's the thing, right? Like, yeah, and it sucks because you and I were gushing about like Guilty Gear.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I love it.
And the thing is like, if I get a game in, it's so fun. Holy shit! Like, Potemkin to this day I still think is the best like realized grappler ever made. And it's so fun to play with him. Same thing with Bridget, like just being able to have movement and just doing like 50-50s and just like going nuts with her. It's super fun. And Ava just having that crazy like jealousy mode and going back and forward looks super fun, but fucking, I don't want to wait like 5 to 6 minutes to 5 to like 10 minutes to set up a game. I just want to play immediately.
It's fair.
But
it's annoying.
Any early games you're holding off on, Will, other than aforementioned Rebirth?
Not really. Like nothing really caught my attention early year. Yeah, not really, because like the first like month and a half, like I was just playing like shit in my backlog.
Yeah, same here.
Because like the first new game I bought was Helldivers 2.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, same here. Because I've beat 10 games this year, and it's April 1st, and only 3 of them came out this year.
yeah, I think let me just make sure I got my math because I think I beat 6 games and 2 of them are the new ones I'm playing: Dragon's Dogma 2 and Helldivers. So everything I've played is fucking old.
Yes.
Uh,
But yeah, let's start with I think the earliest big release is one Senpai loves, and
oh my
that's
god.
Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth.
Yeah. When you guys were talking about like games you beat, I've only beaten 3, and one of them is and one of them is like a Dragon 8.
Well, yeah, you're playing giant hog RPGs.
Right?
Where like, oh yeah, I need to be chewing on this for 120 hours.
Honestly, that's been helping my wallet so much.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna buy the $60 investment. The only thing that sucks though is like, oh, I want to replay this. It's like, well, I'm gonna be looking into dropping 60 hours on this thing,
Right.
or even longer than that, which is it's super fun. I Infinite Wealth is really crazy because they do so many things right as a sequel, and I feel like they took a lot of steps back as well as a series.
Really?
Yes, the story is definitely one of them.
Oh, it's not as good as Like a Dragon 7. It's not as good as
Because
7.
No, because I feel like a Dragon 7's job was to introduce Ichiban and
Mm.
to pass on the torch to Ichiban. And they do a lot of like cool like fan moments, which I'm sure that are cool if once I play all the other games. Um, for context, I've only gone to like a third of Zero, and then I just went into the RPG because my brain likes RPG. Um, and they do a lot of cool shit, and it does such a good job of setting up Ichiban as a character. And the story is like, I thought it was like super heart wrenching. I was crying when I got to it, and it made me, and it catapulted like a dragon to like one of my top 10 games, and Ichiban like one of my like favorite like protagonists. And 8 just feels like a recycle of it.
Mm.
Which it's disappointing. They do a lot of really cool things. Don't get me wrong. They do a lot of things setting up how like they do a couple bits of commentary, such as like I guess they try to do their hand with cancel culture. A huge plot point is that Ichiban gets called and canceled via a VTuber, and it's not really a spoiler. It happens within the first hour of the game. Um, he tries the big thing that Ichiban wants tries to do is that he sees goodness on everybody, and he feels like everybody's inherently good. They're just trying to do their best, but society and different factors makes it so you can't be as good as you can be. So what he tries to do, he tries to rehabilitate the yakuza. They're still like crawling around and they don't know what to do to figure it out. I don't know if it's a Japan thing or if it's exclusive like a dragon thing, but there's a yakuza clause. Yakuzas are not allowed to have a job, like have a job within like 5 years of them quitting the yakuza, which makes it so they makes it super hard in an uphill battle for them to try to become civilians again, which makes them like have to go back and do shady shit.
Mhm.
Ichiban swears that he will rehabilitate every single one of them, and that is the mission that he set himself to do. And so he does a lot of like gray businesses in the gray area, like the very first one that he tries to rehabilitate. He finds out that he's really good at shoplifting, so he gets him a job shoplifting for companies. That way they can test out their security cameras, security services, and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, hey, you have to commit crimes, but you're committing crimes for the good that you're getting paid for. They get footage of him talking to Yakuza and setting that stuff up, and he gets canceled because the VTuber mispressed misinformation saying that he's working with them and getting money under the table. And that just kind of it's a good way to I call it to get samist, whenever you have all your powers and then you get dropped down all the way down. It's a good way to set up like Ichiban like just fucking nosedives after the high that he had. And then he has this subplot of going to Hawaii and finding out his mom, and it's the most like heart-wrenching. It's the most like touching thing ever.
Nice.
They don't really like delve too much into it because they're setting up the different villains and players. But once you get a resolution to each event's minimum part, it is so touching. Like I tear up on it just because one of the characters even makes the comments like, "You guys have not had any chance to like talk to each other or have anything before we do this big mission thing. Like, just take a night to yourselves." And they just talk to each other, and it's like it's so touching and so believable. And Final Fantasy 16 did this thing where like, when the queen is being confronted with all the horrible shit that she did with her sons,
Yeah.
and she just like, "I'm gonna ignore everything you say. I want to keep doing my thing." And I'm sure you guys met people like that.
Oh,
yeah.
Like, and it's just a very human and very realistic direction. Like a Dragon 8 had something like that where like this guy meets his mom for the first time ever, but he doesn't feel right calling her mom, and they have this really touching moment where a hug should happen, and the both, and he tries to go for it, she tries to go for it, but they just don't feel connected, and the hug never happened. And that feeling just like touched me. And then ending, and then just like, hey, these are the final mission things. And it feels great. It was a fantastic game. I loved it, and I love the humor of it. But it's just story just felt like I was playing like a Dragon 7 again.
huh. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing I feel about a lot of the Yakuza games with the Kiryu Saga, where you have 7 games. There's not, like, how much variation are you going to have of this guy, I'm trying to get out, and they pull me back in? And, like, there's a guy from my past coming out and causing trouble, or, like, this one gang lord is trying to rise to power, and then I have to help out. Like, there's only so many ways you're doing that.
It's great because, like, I know Kiryu by osmosis, and all the cool shit that he does. You get a resolution to just about everything on like a Dragon 8. It is straight up his last game, and I think they did a good job for it. But it feels like this was Kiryu's game. It wasn't Ichiban's game, and I bought in thinking I was gonna be doing Ichiban shit.
And you were telling me earlier that this is definitively the end of the Kiryu saga, right?
Unless you want spoilers.
I don't want spoilers.
You don't want spoilers.
Because I was thinking, like, okay, 6, this is it. And then, like, oh, he's coming back for 7. And then he's in a spin-off. And then, like, he's one of the main guys in 8. Like, come on, man. It's emotional investment.
It's crazy because the spin-off feels like necessary to play. Because I didn't play it, and I got introduced to a whole section of the underworld that I wasn't aware of, and a character that I found out was super beloved, and I wasn't aware of because I don't play the
action ones,
the action ones, which I really should. I really like beat 'em ups. But yeah, like once you beat 8, you get an achievement, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a callback. This is a hardcore callback. This is the end of the Kiryu saga. And it's like, as somebody that doesn't know Kiryu like that, or they went through Kiryu's journey like that, I still felt like touched by like how they kept it. But no, the game is fantastic. I loved it. I mentioned it to you like early in the years. Like Dragon's Dogma 2 has to really fuck things up for me not to make it my game of the year. It looks like a strong number 2 for me so far. But no, like I love Like a Dragon. The music is great. The characters is fun. The job system is revamped. It feels really good to play. It's tons of fun. I just really hate the microtransaction practices that took from it, which I found out it's the same thing that in 7.
Oh yeah,
but
Sega's a piece of shit, man.
Yeah. I knew Sega was a piece of shit, but like my only like the only thing I could go back to was 7, and 7 I got a complete full game with a new game plus and also post game. You have to buy that shit for 8, and apparently in Japan you had to buy the same. You had to buy all that shit in 7 as well. Just the United
Oof.
States got
Yeah.
it for free.
Yeah, I finally bought Like a Dragon 7
Mhm.
on GOG. It was on sale, but I haven't started it yet. It's like one of those games where I'll probably play it in January of next year.
Honestly, you should. There's just some really weird like. It's the first try for like a turn-based RPG. They made some decisions that are for sure some decisions. I can tell you that. But I enjoyed it. If you ever wanted to play a Persona game where you're a 46-year-old loser, play Yakuza 7.
It's weird how, like, when you do the math of how old these characters are, it's just like, your back and knees should be hurting from throwing that bicycle around.
They do talk about that, and it's really funny because it's like, yeah, you have a cutscene when they're complaining about it, and then you're doing an Isuna kick in the
Yeah.
game.
Because Kiryu was old in 2006, and then it's just
Well-
like time.
well,
Time doesn't move in real time
Right.
because it's only because it's still like I don't know. Based on from what I remember, it's still like 2018 for them, right?
It's
Right.
something like that ish. It's it's weird. I'd say play 7 whenever you get a
Yeah.
chance. Make sure you do the mini game because otherwise you have a super hard time.
Fuck, I don't want to though.
The-
I'm just blasting through the main story, man.
You can. You're just gonna have a tough time in like chapter 7.
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Mhm.
Do a little, take a little aside and run a business.
No, like just like you don't have to play any mini game, just the business mini game. Otherwise, you're just gonna have tough time in 7 and lose a character.
Okay. Oh fuck.
Yeah, there's a character locked behind the main mini game.
That sucks. I was thinking like, all right, so I'll have less money or less under leveled for a certain boss fight, but like, oh no, characters locked behind it. Fuck.
Yeah, there's one character that's locked behind it, and that character is like the ninja of the game.
Is it cute lady? Cute lady?
It's a cute lady.
Shit, they got me. They got me. They got me.
Her job,
He's doing it.
her job is office lady, and she fucking does kunoichi shit with office supplies.
All
That's
right,
great.
they got
Okay,
me.
that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to be gushing too much because I tend to go for minutes and minutes at a time. But yeah, like a Dragon 8 is fantastic. Like I haven't played Unicorn Overload. That's another game I'm kind of like holding off on, and I kind of want to play that on the Switch because it feels like a comfy game where I can just lay down and just play it while before going to bed.
Yeah, my that's the main thing I've been playing so far this year is Unicorn Overlord. And the GF got Unicorn Overlord and she played it on the Switch, so it's just a good cozy time. And man, the only thing I could possibly see dethroning Unicorn Overlord for me is Metaphor ReFantazio.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's
And
gonna be a good
yeah,
one.
this is how much I love Unicorn Overlord. Just Vanillaware, they don't miss.
they don't.
And it's under the same umbrella as Sega, and I'm glad these games aren't popular enough for Sega to fuck them up with microtransactions. like they do with Shin Megami Tensei and Yakuza. Now, Unicorn Overlord, it's a strategy RPG where I guess it's like Ogre Battle or like a contemporary with like or a more recent game that Square Enix made, The Last Remnant, where instead of controlling individual characters, you have a unit of 2 to 5 characters, and so that little squad you make is each unit, and then you're moving the units around in like a real time but pausable game board. But then you're just depending on the objective, you're usually trying to capture like the main enemy base, or you're trying to defend like your base or whatever. But it's really satisfying. It's a JRPG where the world map actually fucking matters. And it's probably my favorite JRPG world map of all time, because the whole thing is the continent got taken over by an evil empire, so
Sick.
you're just traveling the world map, liberating from town to town, and then the battles with the real-time system, they take place on the world map, so you could see your squads of dudes moving across the map, going from like point of interest to point of interest, reclaiming territory, and then when you beat the mission, like that area is liberated, and then on the world map you also find resources around, and then you use those resources to fix up towns, and then when you fix up the town, it's just the world map matters. It's not just a commute from like inn to dungeon back to inn to another dungeon, which is most JRPGs. It's also you don't control the combat at all.
That's the thing that surprised me when I watched like a review of it.
Yeah, it's all auto battled, so it's pretty much gambits from Final Fantasy 12. Or if you're older and played the mech game Carnage Hearts, or maybe I think Suikoden or something like this, but you have your units and then you program what abilities they're going to use in what order, and then you could put certain conditions to them, like only use this ability when a teammate is under 50% HP, or only use this attack ability if these enemies are present. So it's so much fun just programming your little squad guys and trying to optimize their actions. And then there has like the typical SRPG, like the most basic form of it is the rock, paper, scissors of Fire Emblem, which is why I find Fire Emblem incredibly boring. But you have that rock, paper, scissors of the unit types, but then since you're getting squads of up to 5 people with a different rock, paper, scissors, like, okay, I have 3 rocks in this squad, a paper, and a scissors. Let me go up against this squad that has like 2 rocks, 3 papers, and then trying to build a squad to counter other squads, and then squads to counter those counters. And it just, you know how much I love party management. This is all party management. Like, or setting up who goes in what party, and like who's complementing what with their abilities, when to order their abilities, and then what equipment they have, and just here, let's toss these parties against the enemy parties and let's see what happens. And then it's devastating when like, oh no, this is a bad matchup and I can't get that unit out of there. And then when your unit gets crushed, it's devastating. But then when you do the opposite of just like, I optimize the shit out of this unit, it will destroy your enemy unit in one encounter, it's so satisfying. Like, there's this gigantic woman who's like 8 feet tall.
Hell yeah.
Maybe wife of the year.
Hell yeah.
She's a gladiator with an eye patch, and so you have to go through this coliseum of and you have to beat her to unlock her. But I spent like an hour of just building the right party and getting my actions in the right order in order to beat her, just so I can unlock her. And just having that experience of going through it. Like, I played on expert also, so it's definitely after the demo, which everybody, if you're interested in this game, download the demo right now. You get the first 5 hours of the game, and then your save transfers over, so it's definitely worth checking out. But before the game launched, they released a patch that introduced like an extra difficulty, and then they slid the difficulties down. So there was a story, normal, and tactical, and then normal became easy, and then there was an easier difficulty, and then tactical became, or whatever. Like, no, they slid it up. Well, hold on. Let me think of the scale.
Is it a DMC3 situation, or is it a
They made normal easy.
Okay.
So, and then the old normal became tactical. And then I wanted to play tactical, but I accidentally moved it over one and played on expert or whatever. And I think that's the way to go. Expert, at least tactical, yeah. Because The expert mode limits your item uses to like you can only use 10 items per battle, and I feel like items could definitely be a crutch where you don't have to focus on party optimization as much when you could just use healing items to just heal everybody. But there are there's a finite amount of healing items you can buy from each shop, and then once they're out, they're out. So there's you can't just spam healing items because it's a finite resource. But when you can just use an infinite amount of healing items, you don't have to consider like what healer class you have in each squad, or you don't have to consider like what tank as much when you could just revive everybody with items.
That I was running into an issue similar to that on my second playthrough of Triangle Strategy. Because then you're able to unlock like the shops where you can just buy more items, and I was just catching myself like, oh, I don't need a healer. I can use Medina, which heals via items. So it's like I don't really need a mage. I can just use Picoletta, which can use the magic stones and be a mage for a lot cheaper than for a lot of turn. It was more turn effective. It wasn't cost effective, but it made things like pass through so much faster.
Yeah, man, I just loved. Also, there's 70 recruitable characters, so there's a lot of variety of of waifus, man. There's like a dark elf waifu. There's a lady with a gigantic axe waifu. Then there's the 8-foot tall gladiator waifu. There's fencer waifus.
I mean, something the Vanillaware doesn't miss is like on the eye candy.
Yeah, well, this is the least horny Vanillaware game.
Even I was gonna say even more than 13 Sentinels, but like future.
There's some sexy teens in 13 Sentinels.
Somebody clipped that, but but no, like, but then I remember there's the fucking catsuit spy girl.
Yeah,
from the future.
There's like, I mean, of course, there's some bustiness. You're gonna get some bustiness. It's a Vanillaware game, but it's their least busty game. Even though they have that many characters.
Something I really appreciate from Vanillaware is that they have a track record of being like hack and slash beat 'em up games, and then they was like, you know what, we're gonna get weird with it. You're gonna get a really weird like walk and talk, point and click, tower defense game that's fucking nutty as shit when it comes to the storyline. And then you're just gonna have a game where you just basically just you just play with spreadsheets and graphs.
Yeah, I fucking love it, dude. Like the year it came out, with 13 Sentinels, it was my runner-up for Game of the Year because people think like the gameplay aspect, the strategy aspect was the weaker part of the game, but I fucking loved how they handled that strategy aspect. And
how much of it do you feel? How much of it do you feel it was like a trial before Unicorn Overlord?
I think Unicorn Overlord feels like more of a sequel to Grim Grimoire, which came out on PS2, because they've been working on this game for 10 years. Yeah, like the side team was working on it, and like they would. And the reason it took so long is because they're a small studio, so when like the main guy is working on games, it's like we have to divert resources to work on the main game, but then they just let this cooked, and it's.
If I remember correctly, like they ran out of money at one point, so like the main guy had to like
he paid out of his pocket. Yeah, they did.
Oh shit!
Yeah, but
that's awesome though.
They keep breaking even to keep making games, and I love it. They just announced today this Unicorn Overlord sold 500,000 copies.
Nice.
So
which is huge.
With how small the team, how niche it is, like I hope they're in the black from that much copies.
Well, with a game that's just so like you said, niche, like that's good. Like 500,000, that's good.
It's also like hard to explain. It's like, do you want to play a game where you don't actually touch the combat?
Yeah, it's all planning, which I fucking love that, and I get that it's a turnoff for some people, but I don't know. It's more mentally engaging than holding down square to build up a charge to do a thing.
What I really like, and that's one of the main reasons why I like 12 so much, is like I mapped all of this correctly if I mapped all of this correctly, this bus should be a joke, and like 8 out of 10 times it still feels like it's hard. So you can like optimize things, and I don't know if it's like just a you and I thing, Walter, but like I love optimizations when it comes to like
Oh, it's so good. It's always
like
satisfying.
yeah, like it's like okay, I beat this in 15 turns, can I turn it into 45 turns if I
Right.
do it this way? It's just satisfying. It's like
Yeah.
oh look at me, I'm smart.
Because there are certain encounters to unlock the best best gear in the games. You have to and you have to fight these guys. You have to fight like these certain units, but you have to beat them in one go. Because during like a story battle or like a side quest battle, like the units move around and then like they'll decide a winner or a loser if one of the sides don't get destroyed in the conflict, and then they'll like bounce off each other. But to get these items, you have to beat it in one go. So you have to just optimize the shit out of your teams to be like, all right, this squad is cavalry, so let me get my flying units to just beat the cavalry guys. But like, oh man, they have a sliver of health left. What abilities can I move around and prioritize so they can take out that sliver of remaining health? And it's so
I meant to ask you, like, how's the flow? Is it like, so you said there's 70 retrievable units. How's the equipment for that? How is like how's the equipment management? How is is there repeatable battles, or is it like in chapter 2 you only get 15 fights?
There's like a small amount of repeatable battles, but you don't need to grind that much. The gear, it's not that gear heavy. Like the important gear is you get certain abilities with the gear. Like some gear has certain abilities, so like once you get another ability in like that character's repertoire because they have that piece of gear equipped, you're like, oh, do I want to prioritize this piece of equipment and use that equipment's ability, or am I just putting this ability on or this gear on for the stats? So let me just get that ability out of the queue.
So there's another layer to optimize on that. I like that.
Because
it probably won't be until like I'm done with Elden Ring that I'll probably touch Unicorn Overlord, but like I'm really excited. It's just a shame that it came out when it came out because like a Dragon 8 was like the thing I was looking forward to.
Yeah, it's my perfect kind of strategy game.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah, because it's got waifus, man. It's got waifus.
Also, like,
Total War doesn't have waifus.
Also, I saw there's an owl with titties on that.
Oh yeah, dude, there's beast people. It's pretty cool. Also,
I've seen hentai of the Wolfman.
With
nice.
Also with the world map, you have a good degree of freedom because you can unlock. There's like the first country you liberate, and then from there you have 2 different options to go to, and I went through because I was playing on harder difficulty. I went through like the better route to liberate this other country first because it's like the enemies were at a lower level than like the elf country. But then like my girlfriend, she liberated the elf country first, and it was neat getting these characters out of order and being like, oh, what are you using for these kinds of battles, and like having that discussion of like how we're building our different units together and like the encounters we're going in different times. And then once you liberate, and like from those 2 countries there are 2 more countries, and you could again there's like an optimal order based on like the levels of the enemies, but you can just like, oh, I could go to the final country, but like I can't fucking beat anybody, so let me just run away from all encounters and like get as much treasure as I can.
That's how it feels in Dragon's Dogma right now, because there was a point where like we'll go into Dragon's Dogma, but there's a point where it's like, oh, you know what will be better if I actually run away from
Yeah.
Just going to a place of just like, oh, I can't fight any of these elf guys.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go in that other direction. Kind of like Souls. Like, oh yeah, don't go to the graveyard first. What are you doing? But then my girlfriend was just like, no, I'm just gonna keep fighting these elves until I start winning. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go in the other direction.
Yeah, it's like flashbacks to going to Caelid first.
Oh, Caleb. Ooh.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to like get my hands on that. I'll probably download that demo one of these days, go through it.
Same. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's just like
it's the first 5 fucking hours of the game. Download it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a long demo.
Yeah, and well, it times you out after like the 5 hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you could putz around, but you could liberate a good chunk of the first country if you know what you're doing.
It's when it comes to like units, is there's like I'm assuming you have your range, your magic, your flying, your cavalry,
Yeah,
your strikers.
like
Is there
armor
anything-
guys, tanks, like tank breakers, and then
Is there anything that's unique, Unicorn Overlord?
I don't think so. I mean, like there's bearmen with giant shields and hammers, but I don't think it's. Are you talking
It's
about
just
functionally or stylistically?
Functionally.
Functionally,
Because like Vanillaware has its own like rhythm and things,
Mhm.
and like they have they have their own style that I like a lot, but like mechanically, like do they have anything unique that's like, oh, you can only find something like this in Lord?
not that I could think of, but
Is there like saboteur classes or something like that?
oh yeah, actually now that you're saying saboteur, they have the thief class is a dodge tank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you have these dinky little thieves, and you put them in the front row, which seems wild, but they have a passive ability where they will dodge all attacks until you like, because there's AP and PP, which is active points, which is typically offensive actions, and then PP are passive actions. So they will dodge all attacks so long as you have enough passive points on them, and then it's from there. They're pretty fucked. They have a high base evasion, so there's still a chance that they'll still dodge attacks, but they're like effective evasive tanks, and they're perfect for certain situations, like unlocking the gigantic woman.
Mm-hmm.
They have attacks where they steal the active points from enemies. So I had 2 of the thieves up front in the front row because she has this devastating attack that kills your whole party if she has enough PP left or AP left. So I just put 2 thieves to steal as much of her AP as possible, so she wouldn't be able to do that big ass attack.
So when you say thieves, there's no a thief. It's just thieves, the unit.
Yeah, well, there's the named thief character Travis, who's he's a mensch. Love that guy. But then you could also recruit, because they have the named characters, but then you could also recruit generic versions of those characters generic versions of the classes, and then you can customize their palette color, and their stat growth when you hire them.
Gotcha. So it's like, hey, like you can hire like Raphael the fencer, but like, hey, you need a fencer for
you can just hire fencer, yeah. Or if you like, for story reasons, you want to execute somebody rather than recruit them. Like, well, that was a useful class, so let me just hire that because.
So the characters, aside from flavor, they don't have any mechanical advantages.
Some do, because there are some classes who there are certain named characters who they're the only ones with that class.
Okay.
But like functionally, it's
so
similar to other stuff.
So like Travis and generic thief are gonna be the same thing. The only thing different is gonna be the portrait.
Yeah, portrait, stat growth, maybe, but certain characters, typically like the leaders of a country, they'll have like one of my waifus, like the person I married my first playthrough. Was,
there's of course it's Vanillaware.
Yeah, of course. And also that it plays into like story wise and mechanically, but you can like marry a character. And yeah, so Rosalinda has it's not a unique elf class because she has like a sister who has a similar class, but in terms of the field abilities.
Oh yeah, I will. married Rosalinda too.
Yeah, the field, like with the field abilities, Rosalinda can use offensive magic to support other units from a distance, whereas her sister has healing. But they're essentially the class that they exist is only for those two characters.
I dig it. I honestly can't wait to check it out. It's just
Yeah.
I'm just picking the beefy games this year.
It's so
It's
funny.
fair.
It's so
That's fair.
God damn it, I just love optimizing those things. Which is weird because I hate Final Fantasy 12. I hated probably the world. I don't like the world of Final Fantasy 12 and like I don't know. Just moving around it, but just having that big open world and seeing my little sprite guy run around and pick up resources and then get into fights and then controlling armies across this world map. It's just so good.
No, I get that. It could just be also the visuals of it. Like I love the art direction that Final Fantasy 12 took, but like if Final Fantasy 12 would have been a pixel, like a pixel game, I would have just gone fucking bananas on that thing, even more so than I have now. But I don't think Fran in pixel form would have hit.
Oh, like another thing I didn't like about FF12. Well, because the character class and the party composition matters so much in Unicorn Overlord, which is an aspect I love about games, is that sort of thing. And FF12 is just, you can make anybody into anything, it doesn't really matter. Like, they changed that for the Zodiac re-release, but I don't know, like the base game is just, anybody can be anything, it doesn't matter, they're just a 3D model that's there to kind of just be out on the field.
No, I totally get that. I don't know if it was just my brain or because I don't know if it's because of like how I do things. I'm always been a flavor character, like a flavor player. If the RPG allows me to have flavor in my character, I'm gonna go for flavor than mechanical. So I went for flavor for the first time I played with like Final Fantasy 12 when I was like a wee little baby, and I loved it. And so I had my red mage character, my white mage character, my tank character, and that still persists to this day. But yeah, like that was one of the weakest point of it. Like a Dragon 8 has a really fun situation about that, where like you have your different jobs that everybody can have. They're your generic jobs that everyone can sub into, but every single character has their own unique jobs that they can bring stuff over to, and then you can have like really fun situations with like, Kiryu has his Dragon of Jojume stuff, so he can be really good at this thing, as opposed to Kiryu who has, like, for example, like your Kiryu and your Ichiban are gone. If they have the same job, they're gonna play slightly differently because of their unique jobs that they can stuff over. And I think, Billy, what have you been playing? I feel like we just kind of been...
enough weeb talk. Let's get to the Chad games.
Yeah.
The Chad
mean,
action.
What has your Western mind been on?
Helldivers 2, man. Like, and Walter can attest to this. Like, I went into that game because I don't like live service games, but up until Helldivers came out, all we did was play Fortnite. But like Helldivers 2, man,
all we do is play live service games.
I know, it's crazy, but Helldivers 2 wasn't on my radar, and then I saw some of the gameplay. I was like, all right, this looks fun. Then I saw some more gameplay. I was like, oh shit, that looks intense. And yeah, I bought it on a whim. And it's been my most played game. Like I was telling Walter before you got here, like in the past 2 months I put 160 hours into it. It's fucking phenomenal. And it's crazy to say that because it's such a simple formula that Arrowhead did, where you pick a loadout. Right now there are two different types of enemy types that you can go against. You can go against the automatons, which is like the Terminator type enemy, or you can go against the Termine, which is like the bugs or the Starship Trooper bugs.
Yeah, like I watched a buddy of mine play because I was curious about it. It looked like I was either in Terminator or in Starship.
Yeah, and the inspiration is clearly there. But what's which again, it just sounds so basic, but the gameplay loop is just so fun and addicting. Like I just like it's like, all right, I just did a mission with some randoms or some buddies, and this part of my loadout did okay, and this one didn't. So let me go back into the next mission. Let me change this about my loadout. And obviously, as you get harder, you kind of tweak your loadout even then. Some more. But what I do love is the social media behind the game. The game Dungeon Master is really funny, which I didn't know was a thing until like a couple weeks after playing it. But there's this guy Joel who again is like the game Dungeon Master. So let's say your major order is to liberate a planet in the automaton system. Well, Joel will go into that planet and be like, all right, even on the easier difficulties, I'm going to up the bot count so that way you're still swarmed with bots. Or I'm going to make it to where it may be an easier difficulty, but you have one less stratagem that you can call down to assist you. So it's really funny there. But you've seen Starship Troopers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know how there's like all this propaganda in the movie, and it kind of paints the humans as the bad guys. Well, Helldivers 2 does that to where like the lore behind it is the humans, or Super Earth as it's called, the automatons, you guys enslave the automatons because you use them to mine their planets for their resources, and then the automatons rose up and fought against you, which is a really cool backstory. And then the bugs were just like these peaceful, like in Starship Troopers, they're these just bugs that were minding their own business. Super Earth came along and probably found like resources or something, and they're like, well, bugs are a problem. We gotta exterminate them because we know best. And there's...
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As I say, I don't think the game is trying to paint you as the bad guy. I think you're playing the bad guy.
Well, that's treason. We don't talk about that. That's treason, sir. We don't talk about that. It's really cool how it created this community overnight. Because so when I first got it, none of the guys were playing it. I was like, oh, I'll play it by myself, or I'll try to see how it is with randos. And the mindset when you play with randos, even if you're not communicating with them, is no, we gotta do this mission. We gotta work together. And then so like even when you're playing with randos, you guys plan your loadouts to like, all right, you bring like heavy bang shit, you bring like stratagems that we can like kind of create a defensive perimeter around. It's like the community it built was great.
Yeah, just that teamwork of...
Yeah.
It's just good teamwork. And of course, like a lot of the clips are just, antics of people killing their friends and whatnot, but that's part of the fun too. It's just, all right, let's make this plan and watch it fall apart. Yeah. It's like, hey, don't go over there. I just threw a cluster bomb, and a cluster bomb is like just a straight line, a horizontal line of just fucking clusters of bombs. And there's a good chance that if you threw it wrong, you're gonna kill one of your teammates. Or you have that teammate who's like, "Oh, hey, get away from there! I threw a bomb." It's just like, "Hey, how about you tell us beforehand, buddy?"
I was gonna mention that the gameplay. My friend, well, not friend, the person I play with. We should be okay calling people acquaintance. We shouldn't feel call everybody a friend when they're not a friend. Anyways. One of my acquaintances, because I was curious, everybody was playing Helldivers. It's like, so what actually is Helldivers? So I watched them play it with everybody else in the group. I thought it was super annoying that they were barking orders at each other, and they were telling each other, "Hey, I just threw like at Renee, like watch out." I found that super annoying. It is so necessary for that game.
Yeah,
it is so necessary. And I feel like because of that, my mind cannot get into Helldivers.
I mean, that's fair.
Like if we got together and played it, and you told me, "Hey, senpai, you have to do this," I will purposely throw the game.
I mean, that's fair, but it is like a team-based game where you have to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just the gameplay loop is what got me.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly, it's a great $40 game. Like, it's worth $40.
I think you should get a Monster Hunter.
No.
Oh,
I think people trade Monster Hunter and they don't know it. But no, that makes me really happy because
It's a more casual Monster Hunter, honestly. It has that same scratch. It
yeah,
scratches that same itch.
that's the thing, right? Like your character is not your character. Your character is the abilities that you pick.
Yeah, like
exactly.
we're
Exactly.
going into this mission. There are these objectives and these enemy types.
Mm.
Let me get the right gear to handle that, and then the loop is, all right. The loop is mastery essentially, because like pretty early on we unlocked all the like stratagems and whatnot you could use, or like not, or like Will unlocked it a while ago. I'm still working on it, but I pretty much have like everything I'm gonna use. But it's about like, okay, we have this gear for these missions and we know what matches best, but it's about the mastery of it. Like, okay, now that we know how to do this mission, let's run it faster and quicker, and
Right.
then on a harder difficulty, and just on that treadmill of just we're getting good, get good, get good.
Yeah, I think like gaming and most media in general goes into cycles of like, hey, this is the thing we're gonna be focusing on, and we're gonna like milk it until it's done and dry. Um, Having that satisfying feedback loop, I feel like good, um, that's a good thing to like lean on for a couple next years.
Yeah,
Because
just
I'm
Yeah.
seeing it because Unicorn Overlord has that, Dragon's Dogma 2 has that,
Yeah.
Helldivers 2 has that. Just like, hey, like the run is you pick up your things, you go and then you come back, and then you go and then you come back, and
Right.
that's just satisfying.
and also just it's so fundamentally sound,
Hmm.
and it's they entice the community with just like, yeah, maybe we're introducing a new enemy type this week.
Right. Yeah, the CEO
versus
of Arrowhead, like people are like, I don't know if people are like modding the game to where they're like getting like glances at what's coming, but or the game, like Joel the game dungeon master, like he'll just pick like a random planet and be like, all right, I'm gonna add flying bugs into this group, and this group. So it's select. So people will clip it, post it online, and be like, I think flying bugs are coming to Helldivers too. And the fucking CEO of Arrowhead's like, nope, that's treason. That's not true. That's fake. That's not happening. He's like, I promise you, as the CEO of Arrowhead, flying bugs are not coming. And then 2 weeks later, flying bugs come. He's like, all right, well, I may have misspoke. Flying bugs are in fact in Helldivers.
I love that for flavor reasons. I love that so
it's a
Yeah.
much.
team that understands like the TikTok generation
Yeah.
of we will people will make these clips and people will advertise the game for us of just like, look at this funny situation, look at
Right.
like they're teasing a faction from the previous game of just because right now the enemy lasers they fire red, but then there was a faction in the first game and they fired blue lasers. So there are clips of people playing the game and then getting sniped from like a blue laser out of nowhere from off screen. So people are like putting out these clips of just like, dude, this faction's coming. I've got clips with blue lasers, and people are like, dude, no, you're making that up. And then more people coming out with clips of like blue lasers. So the community's just hyping itself up.
Yeah,
It's
I think
great,
just knowing knowing your player base is super important
Mhm.
They
for
definitely know
playing
their
healthy.
player base. They definitely know it.
Yeah,
Man,
because there are like
I
generals on Reddit of just like, okay, so the meta game goal, like the DM is setting up, we have to retake this planet, and then everybody, if we do that goal, like all the player base gets bonus experience points or whatever the
Right.
hell is. So people are just coming up with maps of like, okay, so if we jump from this planet to this planet, that's the more optimized route because we have to. If we go through the straight route, that planet needs more missions to liberate. So if we
Yep.
take the roundabout route, it's actually quicker. And then I don't know. It's just a fun community of
It is.
pseudo military dorks.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. I wish the game wasn't a shooting game,
That's fair.
and I wish the game wasn't so focused on sci-fi.
Dude.
Because it is. I don't know what it is. Those are such hard barriers for me to overcome.
Dude, See, my dream for Monster Hunter Wilds now is like, hey, what if we get like a Helldivers 2 sort of
That's what I'm
shenanigans
saying.
of it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. If Capcom just said, "Fuck it, we'll take the lawsuit. We have the money to fight the lawsuit and give the money to them. We're just gonna steal Helldivers 2 and put it in the Monster Hunter world." I know I'm gonna love it.
Right, exactly.
Because it has those moments of like, oh, there's this big ass bug. Like, oh shit, he's too armored. Like, oh, I have the right gear to take down its armor, and then once we take down the armor, then we can take it down of just targeting specific body parts, man.
Yeah.
Just like
that itch, man.
the situation, and the thing is, the situations are so unique to each other. Like
Mhm.
when I was watching the people in my D&D group like play it, somebody accidentally grabbed somebody else's ammo for their weapon, so they had to be together and near each other at all times
So
to be
they
able
can
to
reload it.
exactly to
Yeah.
reload it.
Yeah.
And it was necessary because armor enemies spawned or dropped or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just had to like act quickly and coordinate throughout the whole thing. It's like, this is hype as shit. I love this. Too bad I have to aim and
Hey,
shoot.
now do it in Monster Hunter.
If no, dude, like that happens. Like that is like cool. Like I'm playing Greatsword this round. Like cool. Like
Right.
the light bowgun already set it to sleep, so everybody had to stop for, and then I have to position correctly. That way my big hit lands at the correct thing, and then I have to
Right.
time it correctly to be able to do it. Like that kind of on top of that, all of that, it's unspoken. There's no chat for it. Like
Oh, okay.
yeah, in Monster Hunter, this well, like in the modern games, you can like chat in, but like I don't play like that because I don't
Right.
like my voice. So like everybody like moments to like that. Like you're so in the you just know like what needs to happen and like
Right.
things are
Okay.
expectations,
That's
and
cool.
that's super fun. Like I wish, and this is just a me pro. I wish I just got off my high horse or just my mind comprehended that thing
Dude,
and got into Helldivers.
you don't need to aim, man. Just you put on a support backpack, just grab a flamethrower, and you could be the reloading buddy.
Especially
Well,
since they buffed
Well,
the
that's
flamethrower.
the problem. The moment you tell me what to do, I will throw the game. I will tell you don't because the thing there's just something about like somebody telling me what to do that just I was like, you know what? I will sink this whole ship with us in it
You
because like you don't get because like I
That's
make my own
awesome.
because like I make my own choices. My choice is to throw the whole thing.
you are the embodiment of the enemy of Super Earth.
Yeah. I saw people talking like Halo ODST, like that's a perfect blueprint for a game like that.
Mhm.
Drop in, have a task. Like, I mean, Microsoft will never do it because they don't know what to fucking do with their franchises. But they
Not only
would.
that, it's
They would.
also not only that. I think like Bungie forgot how to do it too.
Yeah, but like Microsoft would make a killing if they did like a Halo ODST,
Yeah,
like a Helldivers.
like a PVE Halo thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, that's Helldivers too. It's great. Like even like I've 100% of the game. I've unlocked everything, and I'm still playing it just about every night. Like that's
That's
how
what
fun
it
it
is. If the feedback loop is if the loop is fun, like you're gonna keep going back to it.
yeah, you
Yeah.
play it for the sake of playing it, not to unlock skins in a battle pass. I mean, it does have that, but like the cosmetics are so minor in this game.
Right.
And also, without even trying, I got enough credits just playing the game to buy one of the battle passes. It's just satisfying. Like if you want to spend money, you can, but you don't need to at all.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I feel like those are like investor decisions. It's like, hey, we're just putting this to appease investors. The investors want a battle
Right.
pass, so we're gonna make the shittiest battle pass
Yeah.
possible.
That's the crazy thing too. Like the battle pass itself isn't bad. Like the stuff like the free one that comes with the game, like you can unlock some good stuff. And then like Walter said, like the credits you unlock, you can choose between one of the two other ones, and like you don't have to, but it's great.
And also, aren't they doing the thing where like the battle pass lasts forever?
Yeah.
It's just
So,
so
yeah.
it's not like a time thing of just it doesn't have the FOMO thing of just, oh, they release new content for it. I
Right.
could either like use my credits to keep unlocking the stuff in the old one, or just start unlocking stuff in the new one. Or
I like that. It shows confidence, and
Yeah.
it shows confidence in
Right.
your game. It's like we know you're gonna be keep playing. So
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was all this fear of just Sony's concentrating on these live service games. I mean, and that shit did backfire, and they did close some of those studios and shit. But like, oh hey, Helldivers 2 worked out great.
Well, I think,
But that's yeah, but that doesn't speak for all of the Sony studios that we're working on.
right, and also, like, it's a fuck. Like,
It's
they
like-
don't own Arrowhead, so it was a game they saw that they believed in, and they're like, nah, we want that to be on PlayStation. But
So
I
it was
think-
just published.
Yeah,
I-
yeah. It's just
think
published
so.
by Sony. I don't think Sony owns
Gotcha.
Arrow yet.
So it'll
Yeah.
probably but honestly, the success they probably will. But
It's like a Larian situation.
yeah, but I think what it's also going to do is, because it's Sony published, but it's the first like console Sony exclusive that they've launched day and date on PC.
Yeah.
And because of the success, I think Sony's going to be like, all right, with the success of this, day and date on PC has to be a thing moving forward.
I think on multiplayer games, but I don't think. I think it'll still be a timed exclusive for like the single player stuff, like Last of Us 3 or whatever.
I know, but they would not only make so much more money,
They
but
would make a killing.
like
I mean,
Horizon, like Forbidden West just came out, and like the reviews are good for it on PC, but like the sales aren't there because that FOMO isn't there because it's
Also-
already been out for a year.
well,
A small shout out to Horizon. I think they finally beat the curse.
of what?
Horizon, where like the first Horizon released the same week or same day as Breath of the Wild.
Oh, and the second game came out.
It was
Elden
Elden
Ring.
Ring, yeah.
And then this one came out when Dragon's Dogma 2 came out, and Dragon's Dogma had so much bad press that they actually
Yeah.
beat it.
But it still sold well. Like
Yeah, I think it was like what 250,000 concurrent players on Steam.
But yeah, perfect transition. Well, hold on. Before we get into, do we have any small things that came out this year we want to talk about? I got one thing. Before we jump into Dragon's Dogma 2.
When it comes to video games, I'm going through Final Fantasy Tactics Advance A2
Okay.
just because I wanted to, and just movies. I watched Past Lives. No, not Past Life. Perfect Days, and I love that film.
Yeah, I over the weekend I played Macross Shooting Insight, which is the first ever Macross game to be officially released in the West because of the bullshit licensing stuff with the original Macross series and Robotech. So it's weird. This is like a mashup of all the Macross series, but the original series isn't in it. But it's a shoot 'em up game where it has the top-down side-scrolling, and then has twin-stick shooter aspects depending on the mission. I hate shmups. I would never recommend this game, but I do love Macross. And then when you're in a bullet hell with all those, all that shit flying at you, and you're shooting a bunch of shit, and then pop music kicks in while you're blowing stuff up in space, it is very satisfying. And I'm not happy that I spent $40 on this game that I barely like playing. Not barely like. It's fine. This is $40 on a game that's fine versus $40 on Helldivers 2, which is satisfying every time I touch it.
Right, exactly.
It's like my love for this anime overpowers my disinterest in this genre and how mediocrely it executes it.
I feel that when I picked up Dragon Guard 3, my love for Nier exceeded how bullshit put together game that was. But I was playing, it's like, yeah, this is a bad time, but like I spent $60 on it because I bought it on release day. My love for that world and that universe and those characters exceeded how bullshit
One thing before we get into Dragon's Dogma 2. Nier Reincarnation. Last Friday they released the last story patch for Nier Reincarnation before it gets taken offline in a month. And this last arc, the people in the world, the finale arc of Nier Reincarnation is possibly my favorite stuff in all of the Nier franchise. The way it ties into everything. The way it ties into Drakengard, the way it ties into ending E of Nier Replicant, the way it ties into Nier Automata. Just
that's wild to me.
So
that
good, ending E is so important to this last story segment, which is like it's the secret ending that they added to the remaster of Nier, and it plays so much. It's so important to this end of Nier Reincarnation, and even Yoko Taro acknowledged with tweets that Nier Reincarnation, this game no one wanted, and this game hardly any Nier fans actually played. He acknowledged that this is Nier 3. And yeah, it's so beautifully Nier that oh yeah, this game that no one cares about has this such important story to the Nier timeline and everything. Has some of the best weapon stories and side stories of the entire Nier franchise. It's quintessentially Nier, because the whole gimmick with the Nier games is to unlock the secret ending, you have to it's about sacrifice, and you have to delete your save file. In Nier Reincarnation, the whole game is getting deleted at the end, and there's nothing more Nier about that. This is the nihilism of Nier in its purest form. I love Nier Reincarnation. It's there's something valuable about these experiences that we can't go back to, which is a beautiful thing that is in line with some of the themes Nier talks about. I'm all for game preservation and whatnot and all that stuff, and people will have all those short stories, they're all available online already. If you want to read them, they're there. But this time capsule of a moment of a story and just this being part of a thing, it's oh hey, I was at that game 7 of a World Series or whatever. You're there in that moment, and this thing that's precious that you get to share with the people who were there. I just love it. I love that. I love that it's getting wiped off wiped out of existence, because it's perfect, man. It's beautiful. This beautiful thing of just I don't know, high school was nice, but you can't go back to it. It's just gone, and you have these memories of it.
I don't know, man. There's some people that try really hard to relive.
Yeah, but Dragon's Dogma 2, which is the big tentpole of Q1 of 2024. If you guys want to start talking about it, I have to pee real bad.
Something I come back. I'll ask you when you come back with your piss, because it's Reincarnation. But this is your first DD game, right? I mean, it's not first one as in there's only 2, right?
Yeah, well, I started the first one, didn't get that far into it.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it's. I was talking to Walter about it, and I've said this before plenty of times. Dragon's Dogma is the best 7 out of 10 ever made.
Right.
It had so many fucking it has so many fucking issues, and it's half finished, and it's very well known that it wasn't completed when it got released. And after putting 50 hours on Dragon's Dogma 2 is the best 7 out of 10 game ever made. Because there's some fucking issues with this game as well, but I love it.
So when you say issues, do you mean, are you not including performance? Because so far the only issue I have with the game obviously is performance based.
Motherfucker, I play Drakengard game. Performance has never. It's a thing I can just be okay with.
Okay, because I understand people's issues with performance. It doesn't bother me, and because I played games that 30 FPS, 20 FPS, fucking Tears of the Kingdom at its best runs at 20 FPS. You know.
Yeah. it's annoying, but it doesn't like the stakes. I'm not that much of a brown nose where I'm just gonna be like, oh, it's dipping into
Right.
it dropped like 2 frames. I can tell. It's like, no, you can't. Shut up.
No, it's like, yeah, shut your mouth.
Mm.
And then like people are upset about the microtransactions, but people, I think, and I think you'll agree with me. I think people freaked out way too soon because all the microtransactions, it's shit you can unlock in the game.
Yeah, within the first hour or two.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't want to spend gold to sleep or like rest. And one of the first quests you get, like in the first 2 to 3 hours, is you get to buy a house from someone.
Yeah. And they actually even made that even quicker with the new
Right.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like I think I mentioned it with the Helldivers too. It's like those microtransactions just feel like they are there to appease investors.
Right.
Because Devil May Cry 5 had that, Monster Hunter had that, Resident Evil 2 had that.
Yeah.
Right.
All their big games, all their big games since fucking
like
2018 or earlier.
Literally the only microtransaction I've seen worth it from the Capcom games I've played is Custom 3 from Street Fighter 6.
Okay.
That is the only one where I felt like, oh, I actually want to spend my money on.
Right.
But no, like yeah, I think people jumped the gun really hard to the microtransactions.
Yeah.
It's like when you were talking about brown nosing with performance. It's that brown nosing of like, well, companies shouldn't do this and blah 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 blah. It's like, well, if you took an hour to read, you'd know that again, as we mentioned, like this is all unlockable in the game.
Well, it's not even to read, to even play it, because
Right.
I love the reviewers never really mentioned it, and so there was like a rumor going around. It's like
they were paid
Capcom
off
even
to
told the
like
reviewer.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's like, no, they didn't mention it because it wasn't the figures. Like, hey, like I never had to do it. I didn't even think about them.
It's bonkers that like influencers were harassed. Like you didn't mention these things. Like yeah, because they never came into play. They don't shove them in your face like an Ubisoft game. Like when you pull up the menu.
Right.
Like they're just off. It's off in a menu to the side. You could completely ignore it, and they have no impact. If you're like a tired dad and you just want some extra, like quicker advancement, some things you can pay for it if you want to.
Yeah. Like yeah, so like I feel like a lot of that is gonna be stained when it comes to we talked about Dragon's Dogma. Like I look at the subreddit here and there, and it literally a lot of posts is like microtransactions were shit, or people are worrying too much about microtransactions. Like we're not really talking about the game.
Yeah. Exactly.
But everyone
like,
who is actually playing the game is like, oh, this game is.
It's great.
Yeah, it's like it's fantastic. Like best 7 out of 10 ever made. But like
I'd go 8 or 9 out of 10, but I'll let you finish.
It's a 10 out of 7.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a 10 of a 7. Does that equal an 8? Maybe, but
you know, if the ranking went from 1 to 7, it'd be a 10.
Okay.
That's something fair. I wanted to ask you, Walter, because when you were dropping waifu names for Unicorn and Overlord, I looked them up, so it linked me to creative uncut.
Mm-hmm.
And
you talking about Benedicta or Ulrika?
I'm talking about Nier, the Nier game.
Okay.
They have red mages?
Yeah, for the Final Fantasy 14 tie-in.
Okay, I didn't know they had 14 times. Like I saw some dude is like, that's just a red mage. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But no, I'm loving Dragon's Dogma. I like it very. I like how submersive. Well, not submersive. I like how
immersive.
No, because I wanted to.
Subversive?
I was gonna say subversive, but it's like it's not really subversive. I like how it plays with your knowledge of the first one, but it's also because of the way that Dragon's Dogma world is set up. You don't need to know dick and butt about the first one at all. But if you know about the first one, yeah, you know these references and stuff like that,
right.
And things that are cool about it. Like I just ran into an area called the Ruins, and I saw one specific. I saw a specific tree and a specific rock. I was like, I know exactly what that area is. But it's also because the way that Dragon's Dogma works is like it's not the same area either.
Right.
And I like that a lot. Honestly, my main issues that I have with the game is like enemy variety is one of them.
Right.
Pacing is a little rough when it comes to the story. Um, and I wish there was more vocation,
See,
but that's really it.
I was thinking like, oh, if this game feels like it has less vocations than the first game, but it actually has more. But it
Yeah,
still feels like there's less for some
the
reason. Because
the main reason is I feel like Warfare is a waste lot. I feel like they could have just added monk.
also, like, part of what threw me off was because I played Strider in the first game. Like, oh right, I have to remember like they split Strider into Thief and Archer, and then because I mained Assassin in the first game, so I think there's less vocations because the main
No,
one I
there's not.
played is not there. But like, no, there's more.
Yeah,
But it's such a weird Mandela effect of like no, I know I know that this
and
has
You know,
more
there's
vocations, but like I
see, and I don't get that feeling obviously because I didn't play the first one, but I did just unlock. So I went back to Melv, and there's a random dragon attack.
oh,
It-
so you just unlocked Spearhand.
yeah, I just unlocked
I
Spearhand.
gotta get that, man. Inside
Um,
Live, man.
and I was like,
I'll
oh
be
shit!
right
So I
back
can
now.
unlock more.
I'll be
Yeah.
right back now. It's my
Yeah.
pistol.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah,
Um,
how far are you in? Are you still at, like level 1 of the vocation?
so, oh man, so I maxed out Archer. I'm almost done maxing out Sorcerer. I think I'm level 32 or 33 overall. Um, my pawn has maxed out Mage and is almost done maxing out Warrior. So far Archer, and I think it's because I spent a lot of time with Archer, but Archer has been really fun. Once I figured out, because like again, this is the first real time I've dived deep into Dragon's Dogma, and it's a Capcom game, but it's also a very different combat system that I'm not used to. So like I found out late that I was doing like right bumper and kind of zooming in with Archer, but if I press left bumper, it would auto target, and then I can just select what I want to do. So I would do like an exploding arrow, or I would do like a quadruple shot or whatever. But so far, Archer's my favorite. Sorcerer Magic's cool, but again, kind of just figure out like what works well with Magic and what doesn't. And then I think I'm gonna do Spearhand next, just because I saw some like stuff on Twitter about Spearhand and it looks dope as shit. But I really want to find. There's like a Magic Archer vocation I think that I've seen on Twitter, and I really want to find that because that looks dope as fuck.
It's super fun. You do get it like towards like an end game area, so I
Oh,
would
okay.
I would recommend just book it to there.
Well, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna take my time because again, this is my first time really in the world, and like for me, this game, like I know you guys say it's like the best 10 out of 10 for me so far. Like it's like a solid 8, 9 out of 10. Like so far, it's my goatee just because I'm having that much fun in the world. I'm having that much fun.
Like I think I don't know what can be my goatee except for this game.
Right.
Because I'm not counting Shadow of the Earth Tree because that's DLC.
That's DLC, yeah.
Yeah, so like
that'll probably be our Miles Morales award this year.
No, I counted Phantom Liberty as its own thing last year, so I'll probably count Shadow of the Earth Tree as its own thing.
To me, it just has to be like a specific release, not attached to something.
That's fair.
Well, like, yeah, like it's. I think this might be my goatee, but like, yeah, I feel like the reason why I feel like there should be more vocation is because like it's not really that there's need to be more vocations because they did I think they did a very specific job of narrowing down their uses, right? Like Strider got divided into Archer and Thief. Well, now you have a unit that's kind of like a dodge tank that just goes zips back and forward.
Right.
And then you have a mid-range to long-range unit character that's able to like actually exploit weak point.
Right.
Because like I'm going through Archer right now, and I was doing like piss poor damage because my equipment was right. I was like, man, I have like endgame equipment. Like, why am I doing so shit damage? Oh, because Archer's whole thing is like it's about hitting the weak points.
Right.
And
or having like specialty arrows and
Exactly, and like because like I'm actually like I'm focused on those things. I'm putting so much damage now.
Right, exactly.
I think the thing is like Trickster and and Warfare just feel like limp compared to everybody else. Because the big thing with Trickster is like you're actually playing a support character.
Yeah.
You're not none of your attacks and none of your spells or anything that you do actually does damage. It either tricks people, either tricks monsters or you actually supporting your pawns to do all the damage. And with
Okay.
how good the AI on the pawns, it actually works out very well. And with Warfare, it feels like, first of all, the stat reductions that they get don't don't make a difference. It's somebody like went through the numbers. Apparently, it's only like a 5% difference between attack points and defense
Oh,
points.
okay.
The only thing that feels different is your knockdown resistance. But the thing is like you only locked into 3 attacks, and that's three abilities, and that's 3 abilities throughout all the weapons that you put in.
Okay.
My thought was like whenever you go from like dagger to double-handed, you will get just 3 abilities from dagger and 3 abilities from double-handed. No, it's just 3 abilities throughout everything. So it feels half-baked.
So
I
it's,
wish more.
it's more limited than I thought it would be.
Yeah, which honestly, I think that's a fantastic decision because why would you play anything other than Warfare once you lock it? If you can just do crazy Devil May Cry combos on it.
Mhm.
But like, I wish there was a hand-to-hand class. I think that would have been great. And I also wish there was a. I wish there was something similar to a like an aggro defender class.
Okay.
Because there's a couple like aggro pull abilities that they have.
Oh, the
Uh,
fighter mainly, right?
fighter and warrior have them, and on top of that, you can also like do different augments to get more like that. But like, I wish they had a little bit of that, and a huge chunk of it is because like a lot of the stuff was cut from Dragon's Dogma 1, and apparently they went really hard in Dragon's Dogma 2 in order to accomplish things they couldn't do, and I feel like we missed out on those things, which is why it feels like a 7 out of 10 for me because like
Okay.
you spoke about these things that you wanted to work on and you wanted to do like you had the chance to do it. I don't know the fucking production history about it, um and you're still missing these things, but I'm loving the shit out of it.
Do we know if they talked about like adding them at a later date?
they
Like, do
spoke
we?
about
They
they
did a
spoke about
survey, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they did a survey, and one of the things that it spoke about like DLC and more vocations, but we'll see what happens. I'm in my mind brain. I have a thing where like we haven't unlocked everything that Dragon's Dogma still has to offer.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a bunch of hidden shit that we still need to see because, um, not really a spoiler, but like the end game turns the game into a roguelike, and people have finally figured out how to keep the roguelike going indefinitely.
Oh, okay.
So it makes the second run through a lot more fun because anything that you didn't unlock in your first run, then you go into your second new game plus and try to
Got
get
it.
the stuff you didn't miss, which I think it adds more to it. But
Kind of like Elden Ring then, because that's kind of what I did in Elden Ring. Like, not exactly.
well, Elden Ring is slightly different because like Elden Rings, like the first go through that you go through feels so unique because you
Right.
just want to discover new things and you get different
Exactly.
things. And whenever you find something, it's like this does not work for me.
Right.
It's gonna work great for my second run through. And then you
Right.
do your second run through and you avoid everything else that doesn't go for your second
Right.
run through.
Mhm.
Dragon's Dogma 2 feels like everything's so short, but with multiple. Um, you have so few quests, but every single quest has multiple ways to approach it and end it. That it
Right.
just encourages you, like, well, I got this, and for this quest, let me do it this other different way
Okay. Yeah.
for it. Like I can tell you this right now, like my second run through, I'm gonna avoid a couple of side quests because like I already got the ending I wanted. I wanna experience the other things because I
Right.
let Timothy Chalamet die on my this quest on accident. Yeah, there's a guy that just feels like they wanted to put Timothy Chalamet in the game and they couldn't.
Well, he's everywhere now. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I'm only 2-3 hours in, so it's hard to I just want to get Mystic Spearhand, man. I love the Insect Glaive, and I just want to do that in Dragon's Dogma.
It's fun because you can actually unlock it quite early in the game, within like the first 4 hours.
Oh hell yeah, dude! No.
Yeah, and yeah, like basically you just need to go to the main city, and then you can just take a detour and call it good. Mystic Spearhand, what surprised me is like it's a lot slower than I was expecting.
Oh, but you have that
Yeah.
mobility though.
You have mobility. The attacks are slower than I was expecting,
Okay.
which I actually enjoy more because I like a nice little way to it. But like, I'm going through my vocations. I'm going through Archer. I'm probably gonna go Magic Archer later, and then just stick with Warrior because Warrior is so satisfying.
Another thing about the vocation, like I was reading because I was like stuck up on the lack of vocations.
Mm-hmm.
Like they move those abilities from assassin like into thief, so I'm like not missing the abilities. Like the functionality is there,
It's still there.
but like I don't know.
I've done
I don't know.
I've done pawnless runs on the first on Dark Arisen, and that is my favorite way to play that game. I don't think I'd be able to ever do that in Dragon's Dogma 2 because it's really weird. Like they strip down vocations and make them more hyper focused to like you always feel like you're gonna be missing something.
Mm.
So you have to have a squad to be able to tackle the world.
Right.
And that makes the vocations a lot more live and a lot more like more fun to play, right? Like you
Right.
only really like in Dragon's Dogma 1, you only really play warrior because you want to play warrior. You don't play it because it's optimal. If you
Mhm.
want to do optimal, you either play magic archer, or you play mystic knight,
Right.
and strider. Those are like the 3 ones that you play. Everything else, if you play something else, is because you want to play them because they feel good. These ones, like no, you're playing these vocations because you need to fill a role in your squad, and I think it's great.
Yeah,
I
I
love
did
it.
notice that because early on, like I was like halfway through my archer vocation. I was like, oh, let me switch to mage and just see what it's like. So
Mhm.
fuck it. And at the time, my pawn was a mage. No wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, my pawn was a mage.
Mage.
Mhm.
Um, and I switched her to warrior, I think. And when I was mage, I didn't have the same abilities she did. And so like I kind of got into a situation where actually no, I lied. I had this backwards. So I was still archer and I
Mhm.
decided to switch my pawn from mage to something else because I was like, "Oh, let me do warrior. Let me get someone with a little more power behind it."
Mhm.
And then I didn't realize that I didn't have anyone in my party that could heal. So it's kind of what you were talking about, how you kind of need to depend on the pawns of certain classes to always be with you, because it was starting out as archer, wasn't doing a lot of damage, didn't have a lot of the skills unlocked, and I was like, oh shit, I'm dying quicker because my fucking pawn isn't healing me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's the game is built around like counters and hard counters. So it's like even if when you feel like you have a perfect synergy, like right now I'm rolling with archer, sorcerer, no, archer, mage, warrior, and thief. Right. So like I got my tank, I got my DPSs, I got my magic with
Right.
healer. There's still shit where I feel like I wish I had a sorcerer aim because I need more magic damage, and
Right.
it's
Mhm.
fun. It's like cool. Like I gotta deal. It's like this is the hand that was dealt to me. I gotta deal with it the best I can.
Right.
Like I did I call them runs, right? Like basically you go to town, you deposit everything, you rest it in, and then you want to tackle this area in the map. I did a run with no healers, with like no mages, and it felt great. It was super fun, but like Jesus Christ, I felt like I was suffering
Yeah.
through a couple parts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
like
having a great time with it. I'm having a
I'm
great time with it.
I'm loving it.
Hey, what?
I got my brother to buy it, and he's like, "Yeah, I put like 4 hours into it." He said he couldn't get into it, so he refunded it. I'm like, "Oh, you suck."
And when do I get to change the appearance of my characters? Because I accidentally made my character
You're-
too tall.
Once you get to the main city,
Okay.
once you get
It's
to the main
super
city,
expensive though.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing about this Dragon's Dogma. I'm fucking broke the
Yeah,
whole time. I'm
I will
broke.
say that's one of the more consistent issues I have is like I never have gold to do anything.
So one thing I found out and helps out, and apparently the community is trying to push it, and it's really working out. It's like you can actually have your pawn, and something that I really love about Dragon's Dogma, it's not your character that matters, it's you and your pawn that matters.
Right.
Like if you have a shitty pawn, nobody's gonna want to hire your pawn, which means you're shooting yourself in your own foot by not having a cool pawn or an attractive pawn, right? Because that's usually end game. It's like literally like people just make like I've seen so many what's her name? Khaleesi Daenerys?
Yeah.
I've seen so many Daenerys like on the pawn thing because like I made Daenerys, you can play with Daenerys as your pawn. Do you wanna do that? Look at her. Her titties are out on this suit. But yeah, like the equipment, like I buy shit for my pawn before I buy shit for myself in the
Really?
game.
Right.
Yeah, because it's like even though like the AI in the game is fantastic for pawns, there's still gonna be some funkiness here and
Right.
there. So I wanna err on that. I know if not to suck my own dick, I know how to play games good. And I know if an attack is coming at me, I know I have these many frames to hit the counter state on my move. I can handle having lower equipment with that.
Where is your pawn?
It's like my pawn's like my pawn. The thing is, the more I do it, your pawn lends from you, right?
Right.
So like, my pawn is fucking fantastic. When I have my pawn set up as warrior, they can fucking hit the counter no issue because like I play like that. I like having counters on my classes. But I have her as sorcerer right now. I don't. She's fucking. I feels like she's confused. She doesn't know what to do. But no, it's fantastic. I'm loving the game. It's just like I feel like it's just missing something. I can't pinpoint it. And the thing I
Right.
junk for it for myself is like, I wish you had another focus role because Trickster. I think Trickster should be there.
Yeah.
Because there's people that just want to play support and not actually they have fun that way.
Right.
I think Warfare is half baked. I feel like it should have been fully realized or replaced by a monk class.
So another close range DPS.
More of one that handles more with grapples than anything because like grabbing is a big mechanic in Dragon's Dogma. So I would have liked to see a vocation that's main gimmick is like how you grapple or you weight class, like how much encumbrance you have on it.
Yeah, even like when you're going after like an ogre or something, like your pawns will even say, "All right, it's stumbling, grab it and pull it down." And like I agree with you, like it would be cool to have like a grappler where like you just have all this strength and you just fucking take an ogre and just fucking trip it and beat the shit out of it. That'd be cool, man.
You guys just want to suplex ogres.
It'd be cool. I mean, we got to suplex train at one point. Why not suplex an ogre?
Fucking climb a tree to an elbow off the tree. Let's go.
Exactly, stuff like that.
Cool.
Or like
That would be cool, right?
Or
Like
like
a wrestler class.
Yeah.
like it'd be cool to have like a monk or like pugilist class where like like because weight is such an issue in Dragon's Dogma, right? Like whenever you're carrying things, it affects your walk speed, your jump height, and stuff like that. At last, that like deals with that, right? Like, oh, this one deals more damage the lighter you are, or it deals more damage the heavier you are. Like, I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
But no, I'm loving the game. I want to keep talking about it and stuff because I could just go on, but like, it's fantastic. Like I mentioned earlier, like it has switching vocations just feels so refreshing because of the gameplay loop. Like I have my pawn is a sorcerer. She did a ice spell that fucking rocketed. You know those rock lizards? Have you encountered them?
Oh yeah, that's what I knock them into the air with the same ice spell. Yeah.
And then it's like, well, guess what? Their weak point is their tummy. So now I have my archer just fucking fling at it. And that just felt like a moment. Like I feel like if Dragon's Dogma 2 was multiplayer, and the three of us were playing, that felt like a setup the three of us could have done. Like somebody does an ice spell, reveal the weak point, just shoot it. It's like, no, the fucking pawn knows how to do it.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Because he watched you do it before.
Buddy, we could be doing that in Helldivers too.
The moment you guys tell me, it's like, hey, like drop this stratagem, I will be like, cool, I'm gonna fucking nuke
I'm gonna
everybody.
drop it on you.
We don't have to say anything because it'll be unsaid. Somebody hits something with the stun grenade. Whoever has the railgun gets behind it and starts shooting the weak spot, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is. I really wish I knew what it is. It's like the moment somebody tells me to do something in a game, I just like, no, fuck you. Like these are my $60 I spent on it. You don't get to tell me what to do in it.
It's all there, man. Helldivers 2. We could be a party of pawns. Pawns for democracy. But yeah, this year has been great so far.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been a good first quarter.
Like even the biggest game of this year so far, which is probably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We didn't play it, but it's still like such a banger 3 months.
Right.
I'm loving it. I'm curious to see what else they bring because I don't think there's. How is Stellar Blade? You guys played it. I haven't downloaded the demo yet.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll check it out when it hits PC eventually. But the main thing is it's very parry heavy. And
Yeah.
Oh, you like that though?
it's more, the parry feels more Jedi Survivor than it does Sekiro.
That's
If you know what I mean. Because
Yeah.
there's an animation for getting into the parry, but the parry doesn't actually activate until like the end of the animation when the sword is up. Whereas in Sekiro, and this is like what I feel is the difference between a NetherRealm fighter and like a Japanese made fighter. Like you hit the button, it does the thing immediately. Whereas Sekiro, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like as soon as you hit the parry button, Sekiro's hand might be over here. Boom! It instantly springs there, and it looks wonky if you like you slow down the animation and watch it frame by frame, but it feels great because the action is happening at the speed of your thought. Whereas Stellar Blade, it's something I need to like get into with the game of I need to parry sooner rather than parry immediately before the attack hits. Because that's how parrying will function in Devil May Cry or Sekiro, but it's not how it functions in Stellar Blade. So that's more of a me learning thing. But like, it's solid.
It is solid. Like I was on the fence about it, and then I played the demo. I was like, oh, I think it may be a day one. But it honestly depends on where I'm at in Dragon's Dogma 2, and because as of right now, I'm gonna play through that. There's really nothing else coming out in April that I want to play, so I think that's the only reason I'll pick it up.
That's where I'm at right now.
The main reason I'm not picking it up is because I just started Dragon's Dogma 2, so I'll probably be playing it through all of April.
One thing I really like about this group is like I can ask like, oh, how do you feel about Stellar Blade? And then I play character action games nonstop, and then like, oh, I don't know what a parry window is.
As someone who just started playing Sekiro and just got to the first major boss, I do agree that the parrying between the two games is very different, and I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Because as someone who is learning Sekiro and just how hard that game is, I completely understand it. Where you're coming from, Walter.
Yeah. It's just like I have to parry earlier, whereas Sekiro, like I parry right, like
right, yeah, right there.
But then it's coming in, so let me start to parry is like the Stellar Blade and Jedi thing.
Yeah,
something that came up as well when it comes to like the microtransaction topic in Dragon's Dogma is like Dragon's Dogma creates a lot of friction because of the way that the whole game is set up.
Yeah,
and I think that's good because friction is good.
No, it feels good.
It feels good, right? Like you get to overcome these things, and I feel like Billy finally going through the From Software games and learning that hey, like friction doesn't mean that the game is terrible. Friction just means the game is what it is, and I have to get through it.
You can't come without friction. You need some.
I don't know, man. Just watch this real quick.
I mean, like I'm enjoying Sekiro. And again, I know it's a game I'm going to die a lot at, but it definitely is like it's the most patient I've been with playing a game. Even Elden Ring, like I wasn't that patient with Elden Ring because in Elden Ring, you could be a fucking mage and you could play your distance, but like in Sekiro, it's like, nope, you gotta learn the rhythm of the boss and you gotta learn the parry of the boss.
Oh, you need to unlock the Mercury counter ability as soon as possible, and it's bananas that wasn't a default ability.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That should be a default ability.
Yeah.
Why do you say that? If you don't mind me asking.
It's the main counter for like thrust attacks coming at you.
Yeah, so like your parry is good for slashing attacks.
Okay.
The Mikiri counter is specifically for piercing attacks, and a lot of bosses and a lot of enemies are just
like all the
they're not.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then.
It's not a situation it's like they're easy to deal with once you have the counters. Like, no, you can just finally deal with them once you have that counter.
Yeah,
okay, that's good to know. I'll make a note of that then.
Yeah.
It's insane that you could go through the whole game without unlocking it, potentially.
The nice thing about Sekiro is like the disease on that game doesn't matter. The disease in Dragon's Dogma, it fucking matters really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've died enough in Sekiro where I died enough in Sekiro where like the old man is now sick.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
It literally you just can't do their quest.
Oh, okay.
And that's just really it.
But I mean, like, I don't have to do his quest to finish the game, though.
Nope.
Okay.
You miss out on a boss. That's just really it.
Okay.
Like that's the thing. Like their quest. They look a couple things behind their quest, but the thing is like the punishment doesn't feel that hard.
Yeah.
As opposed to Dragon's Dogma, it's like, hey, your punk gets the AIDS, and then you just can't progress.
And then it obliterates an entire quest line.
Yeah. Which I found out it actually takes a while for them to respawn. So they're still like, doable. Like if you wipe out a whole town, you can still do their quests. It just takes forever for them to
right.
Which you still deal with consequences.
Also, with the completing side quests in Sekiro, it's not like you're missing out on any gear or anything because you just have the sword. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, I won't get that one cool item. Like, no, there's just little upgrades stuff even there, but
yeah, I just got to the first main boss, the guy who's guarding the gate. I think it's like into the castle or whatever.
He's on the horse.
Yeah. On the horse.
Yeah. The horse. Okay.
Yeah, dude. With his spear, Makiri counter will definitely help.
I'll go back and get that then.
It's really funny. Everybody tells you not to do Lady Butterfly in the first thing. That's the first boss I fought.
Really?
Yeah. How was the ogre for you, by the way?
You talking to me?
Yeah. For Sekiro, because the ogre is like a lot of people's like it gatekeeps a bunch of people.
Just those big tall guys?
Yeah, the big tall guy that it's like he's in like an Atrevish.
That was hard at first. But again, it was just like learning the parry, like figuring out his move. That's all it was. Like once I figured it out, I mean it wasn't a cakewalk, but it like once you figure it out, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But I am enjoying it because just like I love fucking samurai and fucking like I'll always like I'm probably gonna get Ghost of Tsushima when it comes out on PC just because I love that game. So like any kind of like samurai game, like I'm always down for. Rise of Ronin, I'm gonna wait on a sale though, just because.
I was gonna ask you.
I'm waiting for a PC version for that too.
Yeah, I hear it was not optimized well.
I think I'm gonna skip on it just because like open world Neo doesn't appeal to me.
And I hear the open world activities aren't that interesting.
Yeah, I've heard it's really boring.
But
yeah,
the parrying, man! I could have a Yari and parry. That's just, and also a grappling hook where I could just throw an explosive barrel.
I've read the parry is weird too. Like the parry isn't because I think parry in Sekiro is like the LB button. Because I play on controller.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, you're a normal human being. Nobody plays from software with keyboard and mouse.
Yeah. Those guys are the people who do are weird.
Yeah, but I think the parry in Rise of Ronin, I was watching like a YouTuber talk about it. I think parry is like Y or B, which is also like a command for something else at the same time. So you run the risk of parrying or doing that command.
that's not that weird because like that's how Neo does it. They really want you
Oh,
to be
okay. I've never played Neo, so I don't know.
that they really want you because they have the Ninja Gaiden DNA on them.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they really want you to use the face buttons for combat.
Got it. Okay.
The thing is, Rise of Ronin doesn't like. I like Neo. I like Neo 2 a lot. I fucking love Strangers of Paradise. That formula in an open world just sounds exhausting.
The appeal for me with Rise of Ronin is, well, the combat, because it looks fun.
Mhm.
Also the setting of the Bakumatsu era of Japan, which is when like Samurai Champloo takes place, which is cool.
Mhm.
But I don't know, it's fascinating to me because it is the seed that grew into Imperial Japan that fucking terrorized China, Korea, the Philippines. So it is fascinating to like look at the history of the enemy and the oppressor.
Right. Right.
Because
It's
when I play that game, because you can choose to side with the pro shogunate forces or like the pro imperial forces, like I'm definitely gonna side with the pro imperial forces because that's who actually wins in the end.
I'm curious to see like how they paint it because it's also like a Japan game talking about Japan history.
Yeah, it got banned. The game's banned in Korea.
I
Is
was
it really?
Yeah,
there's some like I love like samurai stuff is banned in Korea to this day. Um
I did not know that.
yeah, like Soul Calibur, they actually don't have Mitsurugi, they have some other character.
and
Oh shit!
like even a shit, what was it? The old school Ace Attorney game that took place in the past.
Hmm.
That's banned in Korea because like the middle school uniform is like the same as the occupational military uniform from like 100 years ago. So it's like, yeah, no.
That's funny.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I'd be curious to see like how their take on it and stuff like that because it is a Japanese game talking about about Japanese history that's made for a global audience,
Mhm.
right? Like
Right.
I don't think they purposely like made it just for Japan to enjoy it. Like
Yeah,
so I'm curious to see like how they handle it.
because it does have
Hopefully,
like the some of the Assassin's Creed fantastical goofy,
Mhm.
not like ancient alien fantastical elements, but like you have a glider thing and whatnot. But yeah, I'm curious about that too, just because it is fascinating. It's
Ho-
fascinating.
hopefully they don't go the Konami way and just do the weird nationalistic shit that they're doing.
Mm.
Because I don't know, you don't care, but I'm gonna talk about it because I think it's so fascinating. Um, Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, Konami owns Yu-Gi-Oh! The
Yeah.
TCG Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways. They just released a new rule for TCG for the Japanese player base. You are only allowed to participate in Japanese tournaments if you're Japanese born. If you are an immigrant, a tourist, or you only got the citizenship, but yeah, like if you're an immigrant or tourist, like fuck you, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! At like
That's oh.
at a sanctioned Japanese tournament.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. People, the West should never be surprised by how conservative and xenophobic Japan is,
Mhm.
man. Like
Yeah.
again with Final Fantasy 16, like there's no black people in there, even though despite the story being very good for those things
Goes
for
allegory.
the for stuff we've talked about this at length last year, like yeah, never be surprised by how conservative their shit is, man.
Right. Yeah.
I still maintain that the answer that he gave was the real answer, and I think a huge chunk of it is like they just don't think they were prepared or well equipped to be able to tell that kind of story.
Yeah.
Because if you see a string cap of a black character and they throw in the hard R bearer to it, people would have lost their mind.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm Rise of Ronin.
yeah,
Hopefully that's
Rise of
fun.
Ronin. We'll see.
But yeah, it was a great 2024 so far, and we'll check in with everybody mid-year when we play
Shadow of the Earth Tree.
Shadow of the
There
Erdtree.
you
Yeah,
go.
I was thinking like Wo Long. Wait, that comes out in August, so that's afterwards. But yeah, I guess it'll just be the Shadows of the Erdtree podcast.
It will probably be like, hey, what do you do? It's like, oh, I ate and slept. What do you do? Oh, I went to work. Okay, cool. Shadow of the Erdtree talk.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the calendar. I'm like, am I really gonna pick up anything between like I'm gonna play Dragon's Dogma 2. Ideally, maybe a small game or two will come out. Well, with the time, with the timeline, the Front Mission 2 remake should be out on platforms other than Switch.
You might play some. You might be able to get a week of Dawn Trail.
I'm not.
That's true.
I'm fine holding off on Dawn Trail just because I got the big story arc, man. I'm cool waiting on another story arc.
I think I might just play some Akuma. I think that would just really be it.
Senua's Saga comes out, the second one, but not that hyped for it. Yeah. It comes out in May, yeah. May.
I forgot about that game.
Yeah, the only two things that are really on my radar are Senua 2, Stellar Blade, but Stellar Blade's a maybe. Senua, I can just get on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I think the next thing I'll be buying is Shadow of the Erdtree.
I'm either gonna keep playing some Street Fighter 6 or I'm gonna pick up an older RPG I just never looked into.
Right.
I think that's just really gonna be it until Shadow of the Erdtree.
Oh, I like a Dragon 7. I guess I could play that.
See, there you go.
There you go.
Alright. See ya later.
Later, guys.
I love you, Sheriff Truman.
I love you, I love you, I love you.